It's crunch time as Americans prepare to head to the polls tomorrow in one of the most pivotal elections in recent history. SABC News correspondent Sally Patterson is in one of the swing states, Florida, and joins us from Trump's backyard in West Palm Beach. Sally, a lot of people are looking to Florida to see how things will go there, but others are saying that this is now not as much of a presidential battleground as it would have been in the past because it now swings Republican. Is that largely the sentiment on the ground?
Well, we are just a stone's throw from Donald Trump's residence here in Florida over in Mar-a-Lago, which is just across the water. We're standing in West Palm Beach, where Donald Trump plans to spend election night. He's not here quite yet, though. He is really channeling all of his energy right now on those crucial swing states, trying to reach as many voters as possible before they head to the polls on Tuesday. We're less than 12 hours to go, well, less than 24 hours to go really until voters start to cast their ballot, and it could be a new president in the White House in just a few days' time. We'll know who that's going to be at least in a few days' time. Now here in Florida, we're seeing billboards dotted all around from our journey from Miami. Huge Make America Great Again billboards. There's also a lot of focus here on abortion rights, as there are across much of the state. Again, much money has been spent on those campaigns. Voters will get to decide here on whether to change the Constitution alongside choosing their next president as well.
And Sally, when you listen to a number of those who would be backing, for example, Kamala Harris, when it comes to this presidential race, what are some of those who are based in Florida potentially telling you could be the reason why they are not going the direction that some of, those who are in Florida could be?
Well, Kamala Harris has really been making waves among young voters in particular. Her campaign has been focused on that young demographic, particularly looking at young female voters. She's pushed throughout her campaign, even before she was the Democratic nominee, the idea that reproductive rights need to be handed back to women after those were lost for many women during the overturning of Roe v. Wade back in 2022. For many young American women, that is a #1 priority when it comes to casting their vote in this presidential election. They want to see that right returned to them. They see it has been stripped away. Now, Donald Trump was, of course, partly at least responsible for the overturning of Roe v. Wade back in 2022 by his nomination of right-leaning Supreme Court justices. And so many people look at him and they blame him for taking away that right. There's also conversation here about access to IVF as well. It's not just abortions that we're talking about, also contraception. These are big issues being talked about here in Florida and across much of the country. Now, there's also huge competition in this election over Hispanic voters as well. They're one of the key dividing groups here, and one of the groups that could decide the next president. Florida has a major Hispanic population, and they're listening to arguments on both sides. Now, Donald Trump has been criticized in before for comments he's made about Latino voters, and you'll remember there was controversy recently where a comedian at one of his rallies, which I attended in New York City, poked fun at Puerto Rican voters, and that seems to have gone down rather badly by a key group whose votes are needed in order to secure the White House.
All right, Sally, thank you so much for that update. That's SABC News correspondent Sally Patterson, who is in one of the swing states there in Florida, just a stone throws away from Trump's backyard on West Palm Beach. Let's take you live to this now, where Trump is addressing a rally in North Carolina.
And then look, it was like an Elon Musk rocket ship went up. They announced they were going to open the borders. I thought they were kidding. I built 200 miles of rail, and this is what Border Patrol wanted. I wanted to have concrete plank like in a parking lot, straight up and down the air, but you wouldn't get vision, and concrete is not as strong in terms of steel. They have very strong specifications. They wanted to have steel, hardened steel, very hard to cut. Then they wanted to have very powerful, high number concrete, so very hard concrete. And then they wanted to have rebar at the highest level of steel strength in the middle, because it's very hard to cut. It's like, it can be done if you're really good, but it's very hard. And then they wanted to have a anti-climb panel on top. I hate it. I hate the anti-climb. I said, I don't like it. It's so beautiful without that damn panel. I said, don't make me do that, sir. It's an anti-climb panel, and it's called that for a reason. And we actually had testers. We had two guys that climbed Mount Everest. I said they should qualify. But you know who the best were? We had drug runners. These guys are unbelievable. They went up that thing like it was nothing. Like with 75 pounds of drugs on their back. Drug runners. They were beating the Mount Everest. Well, it's a different profession after all. But they were right. That anti-climb panel stops them cold. They couldn't get over the anti-climb, so I said, let's do it. Let's do it. But we built 200 miles of additional, and all they had to do was put it up. The hard work was done. They were built, it was delivered, and the hard work was done. Highest specification. Cost more money than what I would have done, but what I would have done, they have acids that actually melt concrete. They have certain acids that you put down. Those planks would have come down very easy. These guys are ingenious. You know, if they would spend their brains on good, everything in the world would be nice. No, they're genius. The way they smuggle drugs into our country. You got to see the cars. They build cavities in engines. So you're inspecting a car. They have them in hubcaps that even if you take the hubcap, you can't find them. It's like a double hubcap. It's the craziest thing. If they would spend that genius on doing good for their country or for us, I mean, we would have no problem. I mean, it's really incredible. And you know, the people that do the trafficking, what they do with the women is they put them in trunks of cars. It's mostly women, by the way, mostly women. A lot of people say traveling and trafficking, but the trafficking is women, and the reason is it's become as big as the drugs, and the reason is because of the internet. The internet made it a modern business and a big business, and I'll tell you, some of these guys are among the richest people in the world, and they run a real operation. And they essentially take care of Kamala because they even have an app where they can call, so they learn where they can drop people that they're putting into the country, where they can come through with drugs. They have an app. Can you believe you call an app? You're now a drug trafficker or a human trafficker, and you say, ding, 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 hello? Where do I drop these people? Go about 7 miles up, and then go a mile left and just drop them at the opening in the gate. Okay, can you believe this?
U.S. presidential hopeful there, Donald Trump, seeking a second term. He's addressing a rally in North Carolina.